Hi, everybody. First of all, I would like to thank the organizer for this conference. I'm really honored to be here. So my name is Gwenaëlle Bresmal, and I'm a PhD student in clinical psychology at the Catholic University of Louvain in Belgium. And my presentation is more methodological one and not so practical. Thank you very much. So I will present a research project we have set up with my colleagues to explore the links between identity and adolescence construction, between identity construction in adolescence and mindfulness. What about the context? Adolescence is often described as a sensitive time full of change and instability. It's a developmental period marked by significant emotional, cognitive, and social shift, as we already heard in previous presentation. One of the most central tasks during this time is the construction of identity. What I mean is the process of forming a coherent sense of self, making sense of one's place in the world. Recent research has pointed the potential of mindfulness to support self-related process in youth, including identity development. However, the mechanisms that link mindfulness to identity construction remain unclear. This brings us to our question. So how do mindfulness and identity interact? Which processes are involved? How are mindfulness and identity construction connected? This is the starting point of our investigation. So the objective of this study is to build a solid theoretical framework, foundation for understanding the link between mindfulness and identity construction in adolescence. To do this, we aim to identify key psychological processes involved in each domain, explore possible overlaps or synergy between them, and ultimately provide insight that can help inform the design of mindfulness-based program adapted to the developmental needs of adolescents. So what about our hypothesis? We began to explore literature to build first hypothesis. Concerning mindfulness, we can point out different processes working together. First, we have awareness of emotions who help us understanding our needs and goals. Going deeper, it allows us to clarify our value and help us to make choice and being more engaged on them. On the other side, we have identity construction. Even though it's less explored, we could underline some psychological processes. It begins with self-awareness, leading to different types of exploration and commitment who allow us to gradually build our value. This is a cyclical process involving varying degree of exploration and commitment, with period of coming and going until value stabilize and the cycle slow down. We can observe links emerging between various processes in both domains, and we believe that mindfulness, by helping clarifying value, may help build identity. So the literature provides us initial hypotheses regarding potential links between mindfulness and identity construction. And now we want to challenge and refine these hypotheses. And to do so, what better method to going consulting experts, independent. So we seek to have a consensus on which which processes are implied on identity construction and mindfulness and how to link them. To support this approach, we choose a structural process designed to build expert consensus, the Delphi method. But what is a Delphi method? So actually, the Delphi method is often used in marketing. This is a structured research process designed to gather and refine expert opinion on several rounds of consultation. It is particularly well suited for complex or emerging research area where clear consensus does not exist yet. Key features of the method include anonymous participation, which reduces social influence, iterative feedback, which allow experts to reflect and adjust their view, and a focus on reaching consensus. As illustrated in the figure, a typical Delphi study starts with an exploratory phase involving open-ended questions. This allows participants to freely express their understanding of the topic. The second step involves more structured and closed questions, aiming to classify and prioritize elements. Finally, further ones are used to refine opinion and helping to build consensus through gradually convergence of expert feedback. So our study will be divided into two phases. In phase one, we will consult two separate expert panels, one specializing on identity construction and the other in mindfulness. Each group will be asked to identify and validate psychological processes relevant to their field. In phase two, we will bring two groups together and explore how the identified process might be linked. Through the study, all rounds will be conducted online, and participants will receive structured feedback between each round to support commitment. When conducting Delphi studies, there are few steps important that require special attention. One of these key aspects is the selection of experts. Ensuring credibility and independence start with clearly predefined inclusion criteria. Also, anonymity in feedback, as I mentioned further, avoid peer influence. In our study, academic experts were selected based on their recent publication on identity, mindfulness, or adolescents. We also included clinicians that have mindfulness training or practical experience with working with young people. Participants were identified through academic journal, professional association. The panel will be complete using professional network and snowball sampling. In Delphi study, it is important to define in advance how to reach a consensus that prevents bias on reinterpretation during analysis. While there is no universally accepted standard, many studies use percentage of agreement between experts. A systematic review by Diamond and colleagues show that it is the most common way to define consensus. In our study, we will use a 75% threshold. This value is widely used in Delphi study for reaching agreement. Finally, it's important. It's really a really important point is the framework we give. To ensure that all participants will work with the same conceptual base, we will provide key definition at the beginning of the study. We acknowledge and fully recognize the influence of various traditions and practices that have shaped the current understanding of mindfulness. However, to facilitate this project, we invite participants to adopt a secular and Western perspective with a focus on understanding mindfulness as a psychological process that can be explored and measured through scientific tools, research, and assessment. In this study, we define mindfulness as an intentional state of reflective awareness focusing attention on present moment experiences. It is characterized by a non-judgmental and non-reactive attitude towards thoughts, emotion, and sensation. Identity construction is defined as a complex transitional period during which an individual develops sense of self and integrate a representation of themselves. This involves exploration, consolidation, and revelation of the role and value, often influenced by lived experiences and interaction with the social and cultural environment. Finally, psychological processes are defined as dynamic mechanisms that influence cognitive, emotional, and behavioral elements such as thoughts, perception, sensation, and emotion, leading to change in an individual's mental state and behavior. To test the understanding of this definition, we are currently pre-testing our questionnaire. With the result, we will adapt them and then launch the study with a panel of experts. So I'm already at the conclusion. Also, this study is still in progress. We hope it will contribute to a deeper and theoretical understanding of how mindfulness might support adolescent identity development. Our finding may also offer practical guidance for adapting mindfulness program to better reflect developmental specificities of adolescent identity construction. By clarifying which psychological processes are most relevant, we aim to support the future intervention better aligned with adolescents' identity-related needs. So perhaps in a few weeks, you will receive an email from us inviting you to take part to our study. We would be very happy to collaborate with you and discover your insight and reflection. Thank you very much.